The common boa is a large species of non-venomous snake that is commonly kept and bred in captivity and originates in the tropical regions such as Central and South America and some parts of Mexico. They are highly adaptable as they range from tropical forests to woodlands to arid semi-deserts and cultivated fields. This shows that they can thrive in different environments and are highly adaptable. As I previously stated, the common boa can be found in places such as tropical forests to dry areas such as semi-arid deserts and often utilize areas of high vegetation. Rainforests are where they are typically found in these areas as they provide high humidity, heavy rainfall, warm temps all year and thick vegetation. These also provide the snake with tree branches, mammal burrows, fallen leaves, hollow logs and riverbanks to rest in, and the dense plants help when ambushing prey. The rainforest also blocks sunlight, which creates cool shaded areas where the boa can stay hidden during the day to stay cool. Different age groups will use the forest differently, as young boas often stay in the trees to avoid predation, whereas adults will spend most of their time on the ground as they're heavier and can camouflage better. The rainforest also blocks sunlight, which creates cool shaded areas where boas can stay hidden during the day to stay cool. They may also stay near rivers or wetlands as they're strong swimmers and may cross rivers or hunt near where animals may come to drink. Arid areas such as dry tropical forests and rocky scrublands, as these provide cool nights and high temperatures during the day with seasonal rainfall. They can also hide in rock crevices, animal burrows and thick bushes to stay cool, rest or hunt. The common boa requires higher temps and high humidity, which areas provide. They require basking spots of 88 to 93 Fahrenheit and cooler temps of 80 to 86 Fahrenheit and night temps at 68 to 73 with humidity levels at 60 to 70%. These areas which meet these conditions are ideal for the boas as they can thrive in these conditions. Due to them primarily being nocturnal, they spend much of their diet hiding from predators and regulating body temperature, whereas at night the forests become cooler and more active. Boas will move through the branches or along the ground exploring, hunting or climbing. Due to them being ambush predators, they typically spend hours motionless waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They typically hide in leaves or shadows and quiet hiding places waiting for prey to come along. They usually wait by paths regularly used by rodents, birds or prey. However, they do face some challenges in the wild such as habitat destruction from logging, farming, road construction, illegal wildlife trade and fires/climate change. Deforestation is the primary factor as it reduces hiding places and hunting grounds in which they need to survive. They are a vital part of the ecosystems as they're important predators and they help keep rat populations and other small animals under control, which can affect the balance of the forest. In captivity, common boas are regularly kept as pets due to their calm, docile and tameable temperament. This makes keeping them as pets manageable even for beginner owners. They have a lifespan up to 20 to 30 years and have relatively easy requirements to care for. When it comes to common boas, they require a large enclosure as snakes' enclosures need to be the length of them so they can stretch out and avoid poor mental or physical health. As these snakes can get up to 6 to 8 foot long, adults require the enclosure of this size or longer. Due to them being semi-arboreal snakes, they require height as 3 foot to allow them to climb on branches to express their natural behaviour. If the enclosure size is not met up to standard, it can cause issues such as spinal issues, mental problems, and overall high stress and may become agitated. When it comes to keeping reptiles in captivity, size of the enclosure may be vital. However, temperature and humidity are just as important due to if these are wrong, your animal will die or suffer severely. Common boas are relatively hardy and can tolerate small fluctuations in temperature unlike other reptiles. Even though they're seen as hardy snakes, it does not mean that they thrive in poor conditions for long periods. Common boas require a gradient in temperature so they can regulate their body temperature. Their basking spot should sit at 31 to 33 Celsius, the warm ambient end should sit comfortably at 27 to 29 Celsius, and the cooler end should sit at 24 to 27. This is designed so the snake can thermoregulate their body so they're not too cool or too hot. At night, the temperature should drop to 22 to 24 Celsius. The common boa can survive brief temperature drops below average, but if it's kept like this for too long, then they may develop slow digestion, regurgitation, reduced appetite, weakened immune system, or respiratory infections. For humidity, it is ideal to keep it at 60 to 70%, as they can tolerate brief drops in humidity as long as they have access to water, whereas if humidity is too high, they'll be fine if ventilation is good. When humidity is either consistently low or dry, it can cause issues such as poor sheds, retained eye caps, and dehydration. whereas if humidity is constantly too high or damp, poor airflow can cause scale rot, respiratory infections, and fungal or bacterial growth can occur. The snake get bit or scratched and possibly eaten if left unattended. I suggest only ever feed live if the snake refuses to feed on frozen and approved by your local vet. The benefit of feeding frozen is that it's safer for the snake, reduces the risk of bites and injuries, easier to store, and it is more humane or ethical. Their prey should always be fitted forward, warmed appropriately and not frozen at all. Feeding frequency or schedules depends on the size and age of the snake. Young boas grow rapidly and can eat every 5 to 7 days, whereas sub-adults have slower growth rate than younger ones, so they feed every 7 to 14 days. For adult boas, because they use less energy as they're fully grown, their body doesn't need food as often, and their large size means they have a lower metabolic rate compared to younger ones, so they feed every 2 to 4 weeks. The large frequent meals can cause obesity, fatty liver disease, and a shortened lifespan, and captive boas are commonly overfed as they'll accept food more than they need to. The prey size should be around the same width as a snake's widest body section. Prey that is too large can cause regurgitation, digestive stress and injury, and small prey will not provide enough nutrition. Due to them being ambush predators, they do their best in secure, low-stress environments, and it's important to avoid handling after feeding, as they can regurgitate the food. Maintain correct enclosure temps for digestion. Feed with tongs to prevent injury. Water is vital for boas as they drink regularly, soak during shed, and will soak if dehydrated and overheated. When handling a common boa, it is crucial to get it right, as poor handling can severely harm the snake and cause a lot of stress, as well as good handling prevents injury, reduces stress, and helps maintain. Handling should always be avoided if the snake has just eaten or is highly stressed. When handling, the correct way to handle is to touch the snake to make it aware of your presence and lift from underneath. Support the midsections and heavier sections to avoid spinal injury. Grabbing its head or tail can cause stress and defensive behaviour. Young boas are usually easier to handle, whilst large adults may require 2 people for safety and support. Supporting the body is a must, as the handler must distribute the weight evenly and avoid letting large, heavy sections dangle unsupported, and to remain calm if the snake tightens its grip. Handling sessions should be short and a few times a week for socialization. Overhandling can lead to stress, defensive behavior, and refused food. Insufficient handling can make the snake less accustomed to human contact. You should avoid handling when the snake has eaten within 48 hours, during shed, signs of illness, and during breeding. Handling after feeding will lead to regurgitation, which is harmful and stressful. A clean environment helps prevent disease, reduce stress, and support feeding and shedding behaviours. Daily cleaning should include checking temperature, humidity levels, ensuring heating equipment is functioning, replace old water with fresh water, remove feces or uneaten food, and observing the snake for signs of injury or illness. This allows for problems to be identified earlier. When it comes to cleaning the enclosure, we have a few different methods such as spot cleaning and full cleaning. Spot cleaning consists of removing waste, shed skin, and soiled substrate and food remains. This is done to maintain hygiene and prevent bacterial growth and odours. A full clean should be carried out regularly depending on enclosure size and substrate type and other factors. This includes removing the snake safely and have them in a safe enclosure or container that is escape-proof, dispose of old substrate, cleaning surfaces and decorations, disinfecting the enclosure and allow it to dry before reassembling. It is important to use reptile-safe disinfectant. Substrate must remain clean and free from mold and parasites. Dirty or damp substrate can lead to scale rot, fungal growth and bacterial infections. Temperature and humidity are vital, as I previously talked about, and you must use thermostats or heating devices to help maintain a thermal gradient. Heating equipment should be used regularly. Humidity can be maintained by correct substrate, large water bowl, occasional misting, and humid hires, and ventilation must be adequate. Lighting would need to be replaced every 6 months to a year, depending on the bulb, as UVB would need replacing. Even though it's not vital for common boas, it is still recommended. Water bowls must be maintained, as it needs to be cleaned regularly to prevent disease and parasites. Maintaining equipment is important, as faulty equipment can create serious health risks such as burns, overheating, fire hazards, and escape opportunities. Enrichment consists of layout change, secure hides, climbing branches, textured surfaces, and occasional rearrangement of decor. This encourages natural behaviour and reduces stress. Monitoring the enclosure also includes observing the snake. Signs of healthy environment is regular feeding, successful shedding, healthy skin and body condition. Signs of a poor environment may include respiratory noises, retained shed, lethargy and mouth rot. I think Cape Manors enclosure is adequate as it follows UK's legislation such as Animal Welfare Act 2006. Cape enclosure is big enough for the common boa as it's larger than the snake, however I think it could be slightly taller as it seems to be 2.5 foot tall. There are many vertical branches to climb off for exercise and enrichment. There is a big humid hide for the boa to rest in. This allows them to feel safe, comfortable and a place to rest. This also helps reduce stress and anxiety. There's a large water tray which allows the boa to regulate body temperature, help shed and swim if he wanted to, as they're good swimmers. This encourages natural behaviour which is good for boas' mental and physical well-being. The large amount of water also helps with humidity levels. If there are an artificial vine and fern in the enclosure, I think it looks rather barren and could do with more greenery, as this will help the boa feel safe and feel like it's in its natural environment more, as they hide in foliage during the day. There are plenty of rocks and logs to help mimic a natural environment. These also help the snake shed its old skin. Overall, I think Cape enclosure is adequate and is up to UK's legislation and laws. The Asian palm civet is native to South and Southeast Asia, ranging from India and Nepal to China and the Philippines. Due to them being mammals, they are highly adaptable animals and are commonly found in forests, plantations and suburban areas. They are also well adapted to human-dominated landscapes and commonly called a toddy cat. They are famous for their droppings, as their droppings can be used to make kopi luwak or civet coffee. It can be ethically collected by finding civet droppings, but majority of the time they're kept in unethical conditions in cages and the welfare is very poor and exploited to make coffee for profit. Asian palm civet lives in tropical and subtropical regions across South and Southeast Asia. They are commonly found in tropical rainforests, mangroves, deciduous forests, plantations and rural villages. They're associated with dense vegetation and fruiting trees. Due to them being highly adaptable, they're often found in human settlements where food sources are available. The Asian palm civet inhabits warm temperatures all year round, high levels of humidity and seasonal rainfall. These conditions support the civet by maintaining their hydration and their access to high amounts of food. Like the common boa, they are also semi-arboreal, meaning they spend most of their time in the trees. The environment provides branches for climbing, hollow trees to rest in and hide, dense canopy cover and elevated resting spaces. They use the trees for shelter, protection from predation, feeding and exploring. Even though they can traverse on the forest floor, they prefer to climb as they're highly adapted for it. Due to them being nocturnal, they spend most of their day in hollow trees, dense foliage and sheltered branches. When the sun sets, they become more active for foraging food, patrolling the territory and searching for a mate. Their diet consists of fruit, berries, insects and small vertebrates and eggs. They are a crucial part of the ecosystem as they're a natural seed dispenser due to the fruit they consume. This spreads the seeds through their droppings. They're also known for eating coffee cherries, which links to production of and exploitation of kopi luwak coffee. Civets are territorial solitary animals in the wild. They require large territories, scent marking, and safe travel routes through vegetation. Environmental disruptions such as deforestation can reduce food availability, shelter, and breeding opportunities, although they are highly adaptable to human areas. The environment is at threat due to habitat loss, deforestation, hunting, road traffic and wildlife trade. Due to their adaptability, it's one of the reasons why they're so widespread and could even live in the UK if given the chance. They can survive in areas such as disturbed forests, agricultural land and urban environments. However, even though they can survive in these areas, it does not mean that their welfare or long-term population is stable. In captivity, when it comes to Asian palm civets and their enclosure, it needs to be big and complex, due to them being intelligent, semi-arboreal creatures who are also territorial and solitary. The enclosure ideally must be 30 foot long, 10 foot wide and 8 foot tall. There should be an inside and outdoor area to provide shelter and warmth and enough places to climb and hide. Small enclosures are unsuitable as they can cause stress, obesity, pacing and muscle weakness. The enclosure should replicate the natural counterpart and should include climbing branches, elevated platforms, nest boxes and sleeping dens, secure ground space and shaded resting areas. Civets require height as they are used to feeling comfortable, security, rest, observe and exercise. Due to them being nocturnal, they need dark resting areas during the day such as nest boxes and hollow logs, and if these aren't met then it could lead to chronic stress and abnormal activity patterns. As they are from tropical regions and require warm conditions, they require a temperature of 22 to 30 Celsius to protect them from cold weather and drafts. Moderate to higher humidity of 60 to 80%, this helps maintain healthy skin and fur, as well as respiratory health. However, ventilation is a must to prevent mold, damp conditions. Substrate should provide comfort and allow natural behaviours and may include soil, bark, mulch and leaf litter. Concrete is highly frowned upon as it can reduce stress, comfort and limit natural behaviour. As civets are agile climbers and can escape if given the chance, the enclosure needs to be properly secure. When feeding civets in captivity, you should try and replicate the wild counterparts as close as you can to provide natural behaviours and get the correct nutritional requirements, and if they're not met, they won't be able to maintain healthy skin and fur, digestion, overall welfare. In captivity, the common fruits offered are banana, papaya, mango, melon and berries, and these provide vitamins, hydration, fibre and natural sugars. However, too much can cause obesity, digestive problems and others. For protein, they're usually fed insects such as crickets, mealworms and chicks or small rodents and eggs. These provide the civet with growth, tissue repair and immune function. Varied diet is good for mental stimulation and enrichment as it can prevent boredom and stereotypical behaviours. Fresh water is a must and must always be available for hydration and temperature regulation. Adult civets are usually fed once or twice a day due to them being nocturnal. Feeding works best at evenings. Juveniles may require smaller, more frequent meals. For enrichment, it is crucial to maintain physical and mental welfare as they're intelligent, active, naturally curious animals. Enrichment helps by encouraging natural behaviours and reducing stress and boredom. Without adequate enrichments, civets may develop pacing, over-grooming, inactivity and aggression or stress-related behaviour. Enrichment encourages natural behaviours such as climbing, foraging, scent investigation, exploration and problem-solving activity. It also helps by increasing exercise, reduce frustration, improve overall welfare. Structural enrichment is vital, such as branches, ropes, platforms and hammocks, shelves at different heights and hollow logs. Rotating different structures helps ensure the civet won't get bored and can explore. Vertical complexity is especially important because civets spend most of the time off the ground. Feeding enrichment is also another important type of enrichment as it encourages natural foraging behaviour. Examples of this include hiding food around the enclosure, puzzle feeding and scattering insects. This increases activity levels, mental stimulation and natural hunting behaviours. Civets also heavily rely on scent trails to sensory enrichment and may include new scents such as herbs and spices. Scent trails and different natural materials can help keep the brain stimulated and encourages curiosity. Rotation of enrichment is important as exposure to the same food or stimulants can cause reduced interest, which leads to boredom. Good enrichment can cause physical fitness, behavioural diversity, confidence and psychological well-being and reduce stereotypical behaviours. When it comes to Asian palm civets, they are still wild animals and are not domesticated. Handling should be kept to a minimum and should only be done if necessary. Health checks can be done with target training and other methods instead of direct contact. In enclosure cleaning, you can get the civet to go into a crate or move some with more training instead of more direct contact. Veterinary care will also most likely be performed with crush cages if they need to get up and close to the mouth and they may be put under anaesthesia. Relocating can be done by getting the animal to voluntarily go into a crate. Direct contact should be a last resort as you can pose serious risk of harm to the handler and extreme stress to the animal. If you need to handle a civet, remember to approach slowly and predictability and use correct PPE such as gauntlets and towels to reduce the risk of harm to the handler. Support the body by securely supporting hind legs and chest to avoid dangling. They are agile climbers and may try to leap and climb over the handler and possibly escape. Some methods of restraint are to wrap the civet in a towel, secure transport boxes. Restraint should always be brief and calm and controlled. Handling can cause issues such as heightened stress, aggression and sleeping disruption and harm to the keeper. You shouldn't handle when cornering the animal, sleeping, eating and newly introduced to a new enclosure. When maintaining enclosure, keeping a civet in captivity in good, clean environments is crucial to health, hygiene and behavioural welfare. Due to civets being messy feeders, scent marking frequently, the enclosures require cleaning. They should require a daily spot clean to clean up leftover food, roof or water, feces, soil bedding and inspect the enclosure for damage or escape points. Leftover food, especially fruit, can mould quickly and attract unwanted guests, such as insects and bacterial growth. And this happens quickly in warm and humid environments. Deep cleaning should be done weekly or bi-weekly and consist of substrate replacement, washing floors and surfaces. Poor hygiene can result in parasites, bacterial infections and foul odours. When cleaning, the civet must be in a temporary secure enclosure. When cleaning, use safe disinfectant and remove all loose objects, and strong chemical residue must be avoided due to civets being sensitive to strong chemicals. Water must be replaced daily, as in hot climates, water contamination can happen quickly. When cleaning, the enrichment can also be cleaned or replaced, as dirty or damaged enrichment can cause injury, stress, and reduce engagement. Health monitoring should be done during maintenance, as is a chance to check for signs of weight loss or gain. Lethargy, abnormal droppings, skin and fur issues, and early detection is crucial to maintain a healthy animal. Ventilation is also important due to civets not being in humid area, so good airflow is required to prevent stagnant air, mould, and moisture build-up. The enclosure at Capel is adequate as it provides multiple hiding spots to rest or hide away from people inside and outside. The inside closure is relatively small and thin, but has a comfy bed to rest in and multiple branches and elevated platforms to provide stimulation, safety, and to prevent boredom. There is a dim heat lamp to provide warmth, and it's a safe distance from the civet so it can't burn. The lighting could be dimmer, but there's plants in front of the glass to provide more security and shade. The outside area could be bigger, but is adequate. Plenty of shrubs and plants help the civet feel safe and mimic their natural habitat. There are plenty of branches and different elevations or platforms for the civet to explore and escape from the eyes of the public. Capel Manors comply with the Animal Welfare 2006 Act, as they provide a natural environment where they can exhibit natural behaviour, constant shelter access to food and water outside and inside. The hygiene is good, as daily cleans are done as well as feeding.